What is up, everyone? My name is Jake, and I am completely obsessed with Riftbound. I want to get better at this game. I haven't played a competitive trading card game since Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2007. I am competing in a Summoner Skirmish in 2 weeks' time. I have done one skirmish before. I did not compete well. I think I won one of my matches with Jax back in set two. And at my Nexus nights, I'm usually winning one of my three matches. I think that's mostly because of two things. One, I jump around decks a lot. I really don't familiarize myself and get confident with one deck. I also like to play off meta stuff, so your Lux and Ezreal Time Warps, they're not really decks that are competing at the highest level anyways. The second piece to this is I generally am only considering the lines of play that I can make. I don't really consider what is in my opponent's hand and what they're thinking about. I really want to change that. So in order to basically do both of these things together and practice as much as I can. One, I need to find a deck that I think I can be confident in, I can get reps in, and it tends to be relatively straightforward and easy. That to me is Master Yi, a legend where if you defend alone, you get +2. Usually for any other deck or color, you're spending at least one card to get +2. Master Yi can do that with 0. So there is a value generation there. The game plan is pretty straightforward. And I think that I can compete at a skirmish with the Master Yi deck. The second problem of not really considering what's in my opponent's hand, I just need to become familiar with the meta, with what my opponents are likely to play, and I need to do that by playing online. So today, I'm going to do a deck tech of the deck that I'm bringing, and then play a few matches so that you can provide me with feedback down in the comments and help coach me to get better. I would love for my audience on this to be someone like me who is trying to basically take a journey of getting better and better and better. Or if you're an extremely good player and you want to help coach someone, I would love to hear your feedback in the comments below. So let's get into the deck tech and then we'll play some matches here. So obviously, Wuju Bladesman gets +2 if a unit is defending alone. I'm using 7 body runes, 5 calm, mostly because punch first is something that I want to have available early on, and the stats in terms of my power curve, it does favor orange a little bit more than green. Star Spring is usually going to be my first battleground no matter what. There's some really cool stuff that I can do with this. If I'm going first and I play a Scuttle Crab, for instance, and I have First Mate in hand, I can essentially conquer Star Spring on round 2, play my First Mate on the Star Spring, bring Scuttle Crab back to base, ready it, and conquer the second battlefield. So on turn 2, I can essentially have holding both battlefields. Scuttle Crab or Lonely Puro would represent 2 or 4 might. First Mate would represent 5 defending alone. That is a huge advantage early on that my opponent needs to break early on with a lot of cards in their hand. Now, if I'm expecting to go second, so say I win that first match, Seed of Power is what I'm going to use for this. Draw a card if you hold any other battlefields. If I know that I'm going first, say I lose the first match, Grove of the Godwellow is what I'm going to use. When you hold here, draw 1. The nice part about this battlefield is that even if my opponent captures this early on, the meta generally favors decks that are conquering rather than holding. My deck is made to hold. I expect my opponent's deck are made to conquer. So the value that I would expect to get out of this battlefield is more than my opponent. Then we have Master Yi, the 4 energy, 4 might. Usually the experience doesn't really come into play, but it is nice if I conquer, then hold to have ganking and deflect there. Charm, really great card in this deck, mostly because I can move opponents' units to places where I'm defending and get that +2 bonus. Defy, I would say, is probably one of the best cards in the game, and I always want to hold on to this. Sabotage one of, it's really to make sure that I can take care of any auroras that I'm playing. When you're playing best of 3, you don't have an opportunity to sideboard before the game start. Punch first, 3 of, that's really expensive, and I can kind of go either way, but I just always like having it in my hand. It always feels good to play. And if I can get the upper hand early on, where I'm forcing my opponents to use resources in their hand, and I throw a punch first down and I hold twice, I'm at 4 or 5 points on turn 3 or 4, and they've exhausted a lot of their resources to try and take care of my units, that's a great spot for me to be in. Clockwork Keeper, this is kind of the first iteration of what's different from the most recent best of in Vancouver for Master Yi. They are using Pit Rookie in this spot. I like Clockwork Keeper as a personal preference just because if I draw it later in game, I like to have the ability to draw. Discipline, great card. You draw one with it, so it replaces itself. Give a unit +2. Grim Resolve I found to be a really nice addition to this. I'm kind of bordering on the thought that I might want 2 in here. The +3 for 2 energy is really nice, and if you've played Master Yi on the field, that 2 XP doesn't hurt either. Lonely Puro and Scuttle Crab round out my other 2-drop, so I really never worry about finding a 2-drop in that first hand. Sometimes I actually feel like I could lose some 2-drops, and maybe there's something that's better than the Clockwork Keeper here. Zonios is great just so I make sure I don't lose tempo if I am behind early in the game. Challenges is really important for me because I need to be able to take care of units that are in base where I feel like if I leave my opponent in a turn, they're going to have the resources to take over that battlefield. First Mate, again, great and important card for this, especially with Star Spring. There's a lot of trickery that can happen to make sure that I can conquer and hold 2 battlefields early on. Nidalee is probably a flex card, I would say, in this deck. The reason why I have this is because there's a few cards from the best of that I don't love. The 4 energy, 1 power, I'm forgetting what it's called right now, that adds 7 might. I tried it, but it never really felt great to have in hand. I like Nidalee because units really can't be countered if they're ambushing, and most people right now are kind of playing around and expecting the Rengar. If I leave 3 open, they're not really expecting a 4 might card. Extra bonus is I draw 1 if I win the combat. Akshan, again, here very similar to Sabotage, basically to make sure that if I am playing a gear heavy or Aurora deck, I have something to counter that in my deck early on. Trinity Force, I wasn't confident about this card coming into building the deck and playing with it, but I actually love this card. This is an amazing card. It puts so much pressure on the opponent. The added 2 might is great, but it really allows you to just put a ticking time clock on the battle, on the game, basically. Sona's nice as a one of. I will usually switch this out for a Sabotage or an Unyielding Spirit in the second and third games. Sona is nice because if I'm playing her on turn 2 with Star Spring, I can still get the individual bonus for defense because I can bounce back a unit that I used to conquer. Rengar, I feel like, needs no explanation. Probably one of the strongest units in the game right now. And then one of Rune Runner. One of the weaknesses to this deck is if I'm playing against a spell-heavy deck, Rune Runner is really nice for that. My sideboard is basically all trying to counter Aurora because that's one of the most popular decks, but also one of the weaknesses of this deck, I would say. So that's it. That's what I like about this. The Nidalee and the Clockwork Keepers are probably the cards that are most up in the air right now. So let's go ahead and play some matches with this deck. All right, we are on Rift Atlas, about to find some matches here. And up first, we find a mirror match. This will be interesting. And honestly, I will probably run into a mirror at a skirmish. So I'm going to choose Star Spring. They might choose the same. Honestly, if I'm going second, this will be okay. Interesting. Forge of the Fluffed. I haven't really seen that before. I like Discipline and Punch first. I do want to see a deny here. First Mate is good too. All right, interesting. So seems to be more of a control deck than anything. I have my combo here. Okay, so this is really good for me because, yeah. All right, so I would imagine this is a really hard turn for him, although with a Rangar, that could change. I am leaving 1 open to represent a punch first or a deny. He doesn't know that I have a punch first, but I think he needs to respect it. If he comes in with the Rangar on either of these battlefields, he's dead, basically. Okay, 4, so he'll play Yi and basically set himself up for a future turn. Yeah. Okay, so Charm is great here. I also drew a Defy. So one of the things that I also struggle with is the sequencing of my turn. I think that I want to, so because I want to play Scuttle Crab, Charm, Defy, that's 4. I want to draw first from Scuttle Crab just to see if it changes my my plan at all. So I do want to Charm here. I will go to 5 if I defend, and there we go. Playing around the Defy, Defy, Defy. All right, and Showdown will go away. And great part about that, got a Defy out of him. I'm still representing a Punch First or even a Discipline at this point because I don't need a green power to play Discipline. So even at 6 with a Rangar, he would still need to have a Punch First of his own, which probably wouldn't feel great. Yeah, okay. So this, so 4 plus, yeah, I mean, this is always going to be really tough. I'm basically taking a chance here where I'm just so far ahead on tempo. Um, I'm going to leave open, and if he can't take both, then I'm just going to win this game. Now, I'm sure that the stats on Master Yi mirrors are basically whoever goes first has a, I don't know, 75% chance of winning. But the fact that I was able to play that exact combo, Lonely Poro, Starspring, First Mate, and I had all the cards and combat tricks I wanted, that to me, so when I'm practicing and I'm getting better at this deck, it feels less about luck at this point now and more about me holding these cards and understanding what I need for the specific situation. I am finding that I'm performing a lot better because of that. I'll show you my stats in a second. I have this Riftbound journal where I track all my games. Okay, so this is just game. So 4 Discipline is 2. Yep. All right, there we go. Now, if he had a Defy, Lonely Poro would have died. I could have just charmed Lonely Poro back and moved Scuttle Crab in to conquer. So let's look at my journal here. Let's make sure we record that one. Let's refresh. All right, so Master Yi here, you can see it's 74% win rate with 19 matches. This Victor Leader one was 75% win rate. Basically full control. I think Master Yi, for me at least, being a less experienced player, has a very straightforward game plan, easier to pilot well. And that's what I'm going to bring to the skirmish. So let's play one more, win or lose, and see what we get. Okay, this will be great practice because Diana, I'm sure I'm going to see a Diana at some point. Yeah, I'm going to go for Grove of the Godwillow because Diana has a lot of way tricks that I don't really want her to use against me here. Okay, I actually do want to keep this hand. So I want Lonely Poro for turn 1. I want Rengar for turn 2. The Sabotage and Grim Resolve give me some... Yeah, I do want this. Sabotage will be nice later in the game because having access to what their hand looks like will be really important for me to consider what I'm going to do on turn 3, 4, 5. At that point, since they're Diana, they probably would have would have drawn like 18 freaking cards at that point. So I'll know exactly what's in hand. All right. So we knew that was coming. Let's see. Let's see. If they have full open, I can't even use Challenger Grim Resolve. You know what? I'm gonna go here. Let's see. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, perfect. And then Targon's Peak, I'll have Grim Resolve available. So this Lonely Poro will be at 4, representing, I mean, for them, they might expect me to have Discipline. So I'm representing essentially 6. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I should have expected this. Okay, so Lonely Poro. I'm sure they have some other combat trick up their sleeve, but let's get some energy out of them so that oh my god, that would be great. Okay. So that's fine. Because I can play Rengar as long as I'm guaranteed to find an orange on my next go. 2 up could be, nope, okay. Yep. All right. Let's do Sabotage. So my plan here, sabotage the hand, make sure my Rengar is safe to go in to Tide Turner. Okay. Perfect. So I think I want to get rid of Starcrossed. Okay, great. So challenge is action speed. If they want to Moonfall me, I can put it on the stack on top of Moonfall. Because oh fuck. So I'm not gonna have 2 open. But interesting thing here is like, okay, no trickery here. They might play Hui. Yeah. This is great. So they could play Moonfall. Now I actually think I just want to do this because with Moonfall, they're not really trying to, they need a battlefield already, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So if they try to Moonfall and they move, and both Rengars are at 4, that's still 8. I don't have, damn. Okay. So this might have been a mistake. So if they move, if they play Moonfall, both my Rengars are at 4. Hui could go to 8. Okay. Okay, so I'm also at 8 here. They could play Moonfall, which would, yeah. Okay, so both at 4. Ay, ay, ay. All right. And they get to draw off that. Okay, so that was a huge mistake. And the sucky part is I knew that was coming. If I had a punch first or anything really, defy. Okay, so I'm really in trouble here. It is what it is. It's all good. All right, so that is it for today. I'm going to be practicing and putting my videos up in the near future. So I would love for you guys to provide any feedback that you saw. Obviously, that last game, a lot of stuff could have gone a little bit better, and it was all up to me. But I'm feeling really confident, and I appreciate you watching so much. I'll see you next time. Peace.